morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time to look at some fusion Pokemon that attack. We've seen the ridiculous support, and I do mean ridiculous support the fusion Pokemon have had over the past couple of videos. I do encourage you to go and have a look and check them out to learn a bit more about them. Today, we are looking at attackers, although some of the other cards we mentioned will be relevant. We will get there. But we're going to start off with a new Pokemon V here. We're starting off with Hoopa V, and I feel sorry for Hoopa V, because Genesect V is some kind of flat-out broken absolute miracle of Pokemon TCG design, at least in terms of how good it is, and Hoopa's not. Like, I'm not saying Hoopa's terrible, but I absolutely am saying that Hoopa is not particularly great, at least when we put it side by side with Genesect. So what does it do? Well, I should actually mention our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, who is awesome. 220 HP is, it's on the high end of Pokemon V. Retreat cost of 2 is awkward, but that does open up Air Balloon, so that's fine. And weakness to Grass isn't terrible. Grass is not the best type around. But you are a Darkness Pokemon, and that means you're hitting weakness against things like Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is definitely good, and Mew V Max, which we don't know yet, but might well end up being good. But we have an ability here, double-faced, while this Pokemon is in play. It is both Psychic and Dark type. Okay, fine. And actually this is really good, because it means that you get to hit double weakness. And now, as well as hitting weakness on stuff like Shadow Rider Calyrex, you're also hitting weakness against stuff like Rapid Strike Urshifu. To be clear, those are two of the very best decks around at the moment. So it's not just that you are two types that are hitting two weaknesses, although that is good and we are happy. It is that you are hitting two really, really good weaknesses. So yeah, that's fine. I do need to mention, though, that it does specifically say while this Pokemon is in play, so no, you can't search it with Fog Crystal. Because Fog Crystal lets you go and search your deck for a basic Psychic Pokemon, but when it's in your deck, this is not a Psychic Pokemon, it's a Darkness Pokemon. It only becomes a Psychic Pokemon when it's in play, and by that point, it's too late. But given that you're hitting two really good weaknesses, I could be convinced to say nice things about it. What about the attack? 2 Darkness, 1 Colorless Energy, 170 damage. Put 3 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. Alright, Giratina. And this is fine, but it's not amazing. This is clearly a Pokemon that's built for hitting weakness, because 170 doubled for weakness is 340, which just so happens to be the maximum amount of HP we've seen on VMAX Pokemon. So okay, fine. If you're hitting for weakness, you'll get anything. And I think that's kind of the point here. I think Hoopa V is very much designed to be a Pokemon that is hitting for weakness. And I'm cool with this. But I think that makes it a tech. I don't think you make a Hoopa deck. I think you're playing a Pokemon like Gengar, and you're like, oh man, I'm weak to fighting. That Urshifu, that's a problem. And then you're like, oh wait, I got Hoopa, I can hit for weakness. Now, getting a free energy on here is going to be a little bit annoying, because, you know, the whole point of Gengar is we're accelerating Houndoom, or with Houndoom, because you're a single strike Pokemon. That's not an option here. You're not a single strike Pokemon. But don't forget, we got Elisa's Radiance, which will allow you to attach a fusion energy to 2 fusion Pokemon, 1 to each of 2 Pokemon. So that means that you can get an energy onto Hoopa here, and then attach for turn, and then you only need 1 more. It is absolutely doable, and this is cool. The 3 damage counter on one of your Pokemon, this is kind of like Giratina, although I do not think this attack is good enough to warrant it. Giratina with Malamar was awesome, so we kind of needed the downside here. I don't think that's the case, not with this Pokemon. Having said that, it's not the end of the world, and there's always outraged Pokemon, Phanpy being a particular favourite of mine, Pokemon that do extra damage, depending on how many damage counters are on them. So yeah, you absolutely can play around with it in that regard. I'm not particularly interested in the downside here, if I'm honest. I do, however, think that this is a good attack if you're hitting for weakness, and that's my conclusion on Hoopa. If you're hitting for weakness, awesome. If you're not hitting for weakness, much less awesome. Let's go ahead and give it between 3 and 4 Wossies. We don't give half Wossies. That would be barbaric. But speaking of that fusion energy, you know who loves fusion energy? Mellowetta. Mellowetta loves fusion energy. Now, we got 90 HP here, which is very, very low, but does open up the use of level balls, so we're not terribly upset. Resistance to fighting is nice. Weakness to darkness is kind of irrelevant, given your terrible 90 HP. And we got 1 attack here for 2 energy that does 70 damage for each fusion energy card attached to your Pokemon in play. And like I've said about so many of these fusion cards so far, were it not for the specific help we've got from so many of these fusion cards, this would be a fairly underwhelming attack indeed. But because we have all of these fusion cards, it's brilliant. So generally speaking, right, fusion energy, you can have up to 4 of them attached. So that's 280 damage. Clearly, 280 damage on a single prize Pokemon is brilliant and wonderful, and we love it. It's a great amount of damage. And don't forget, I showed you that Toxtricity the other day, whose ability reduces your opponent's VMAX's maximum HP by 30, which means with 2 Toxtricity out, the maximum you will ever see on any VMAX is 280, which means you're getting a one-hit KO. And yeah, you need to have 2 stage 1 Toxtricity out, and yeah, you need to have 4 fusion energy attached to your Pokemon in play. I understand it's not awkward, but I'm also talking about a 90 HP Pokemon taken out of VMAX for free prizes. It's worth putting a bit of effort in. But we got to remember that Elisa's Radiance here, like I said a moment ago, lets you search your deck for 2 fusion energy and attach them to your fusion Pokemon in play. Which means that I can turn 1 going second, play Elisa, attach a fusion energy to Mellowetta and somebody else, attach from my hand to Mellowetta for my turn, and hit 140 pretty easily. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be the best option, but I'm saying that the donk potential of Mellowetta is absolutely here. Or you can come out late game and do it. It's completely up to you. There are some good options here. But there are some problems. You see, when I'm talking about single strike energy, I have got that urn. And that urn is amazing. Urn of Vitality is brilliant because it lets me search my discard pile for 2 single strike energy and shuffle them into my deck. Which means I can just keep attaching with Houndoom. We might get an item card along those lines for fusion energy, I don't know. The only thing I can tell you at the moment is it hasn't been revealed if we're getting one. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. Because what that means for Mellowetta is that as soon as you get a KO on Mellowetta, then the next Mellowetta is doing at least 70 damage less. Yeah, sure, the first Mellowetta can hit for 280, but the second is hitting for 210, the third is hitting for 140, etc. That's assuming none get discarded early game, that's assuming none are prized, etc. It's not great. It's not great by a long shot. I think there is a huge amount of potential here with Mellowetta. I think the combo with Elisa's Radiance is phenomenal, but I also think that there are going to be too many games where you lose your energy and then it's just not as good as it used to be, and that's genuinely sad. So I'm going to go ahead and give it between 3 and 4 Wossies. We don't give half Wossies. That would be barbaric. I do think that there is absolutely potential here, but I don't think it's going to end up being amazing without some other support cards. I think there is some good single-turn potential here, especially with Elisa's Radiance, but I don't think at the moment we've got any more than that. But we do need to recover some fusion cards occasionally, and that's where Smeargle comes in. As a side note, right, Mitsuhiro Arita has done many wonderful pieces of artwork for the Pokemon trading card game, has been around since the beginning of the game and illustrated some of the best and most iconic cards we've ever seen. This is one of his best. And I don't say that lightly with all of the cards that Mitsuhiro Arita has drawn, but goodness gracious me, this is one of the best Arita cards, and that really is saying something. Now, we got 70 HP, which is very low. Again, level ball. Retreat cost of 1 is fine. Weakness to fighting is irrelevant. You got 70 HP. Get over it. Actually, no, it's not irrelevant. I'm lying to you. Because let's not forget that Rapid Strike Urshifu V has got Strafe, which will do 30 damage for a single energy. And double with weakness is 60, and you will survive that. So actually, no, that 70 is kind of relevant. You will survive that hit. Now, the free energy 80 damage we're not going to talk about or get excited about. It's not good enough. Let's move on. Because we do have an attack that's worth using. For 1 colorless energy, you choose up to 2 fusion trainer cards from your discard pile, reveal them, and put them into your hand. It's recovery. It's as simple as that. You can get these trainer cards back and use them again. Now, obviously, this is super, super annoying because, well, you can't get fusion energy. And we want to recover fusion energy for Mellowetta, and we can't. And that's really sad, and I'm really sad, and boo hiss, etc. But we can get stuff like Elisa's Radiance to accelerate them if we've got them. Or, and this is my first thought when we talked about the card, Power Tablet. It's the item card I showed you in the other video where it lets your Fusion Pokemon do an extra 30 damage this turn and does stack. So you're going to want to use them and then they're going to go away and you're going to want them back. So you can get them back using Smeargle. Problem is that Smeargle's probably giving up a prize to do this. And I'm not sure we want to. Now, if you can do this without giving up a prize, it's way better. If this is going to lead to a big one-hit KO next turn, it's obviously awesome. But there are going to be too many turns where you don't want to use Smeargle because it's not worth it. And that's a huge problem. We've seen some trainer cards I showed you in a video the other day. There's nothing really at the moment other than Power Tablet that really makes me think Smeargle's going to be great with it. And even that, I don't know if I'm willing to use my attack for the turn and probably give up a prize. Maybe in the future we'll have trainer cards that are worth recovering with this. I honestly don't think we've got them at the moment. I'm giving Smeargle 3 Wassies. For the card, for the artwork, this is a 5 Wassie card. It's a common card, and the artwork generally in the Pokemon TCG over the past year or so has seen a significant jump. Yes, we've had those beautiful alternate art cards, but I am seeing more and more common and uncommon cards where I'm just like, that is phenomenal. Like, if I could get the full version of this, I would happily frame this and put it on the wall of my studio. It is just ridiculous. Also, Smeargle, right? Just last point on Smeargle, keep an eye out, because this Smeargle looks very, very similar to stuff like Sableye. This attack is not a million miles away from Junk Hunt. So what I'm telling you now is, as it stands, it only gets Fusion Trainer cards back. I don't think there's any real way to abuse Smeargle with what we've seen. But I am absolutely telling you that this could all change. All we need is 1 or 2 annoying Fusion Trainer cards to be printed, and Smeargle becomes a phenomenal Tier 1 control disruption deck. We don't have the cards, but we might one day soon. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so psyched about all these, but I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.